Well, here we are, and I'm wearing my Four Musicians of Bremen t-shirt. I hope you're impressed. And here I have four four musicians of Bremen tea mug. I think that's quite wonderful. It's now actually part of Bremen Town Arms. I can only take it that there must have been a time when the Bremen Town Band really weren't very good. This is one of the stories from the Grimm brothers' folk tales. They didn't call them fairy stories, they called them folk tales. And it is actually one of the happier, one of the funnier stories, and I really like this. There was once a donkey who worked very, very hard for many years for a man, faithfully carrying bags of wheat to the mill to be ground into flour. But after some years there came a time when the donkey was old and slow, and the man decided that it really wasn't worth feeding the donkey anymore. And so the donkey overheard the man talking to his wife and saying, "It's really time that we had the donkey killed, and we'll have to find ourselves a new one to carry everything to the mill." So the donkey decided to run away, and he began the long journey to Bremen because the donkey had decided that he was going to become a musician and join the Bremen Town Band, which, after all those long years of hauling and carrying things for the man who had now shown him so little gratitude, seemed like a really good idea. So the donkey walked along the hot and dusty road, and he met a dog. The donkey said to the dog, "What are you doing laying there on a hot day, panting away? You look as if you've been running and running." And the dog said, "I've been running and running for my very life. My master, now that I can no longer hunt, has decided that he's going to kill me. He doesn't wish to feed me anymore, now that I'm useless for hunting." So the donkey said, "Why don't you come with me, and together we can join the Bremen Town Band?" So the dog thought, that's an excellent idea, and there were now two companions walking along the hot and dusty road. And after some time they met a cat, and they said to the cat, "What are you doing, sitting by the side of the road, looking so sad?" And the cat said, "My mistress has decided, now that I'm old and my teeth are worn down, and I would rather spend my days sitting by the fire, keeping warm, than chasing away the mice. She decided to kill me, and this is supposed to happen tomorrow. But I've managed to escape. Now I don't know where I'm going to go." So the donkey said, "Why don't you join me and the dog? We're going to Bremen, and we're going to join the Bremen Town Band. I'm sure with your beautiful singing voice, they'll welcome you with open arms." So the cat, for want of anything better to do, joined the donkey and the dog as they walked along the road to Bremen. And later that day, they met a rooster who was cock-a-doodle-doing by the side of the road. The donkey said to the rooster, "What are you doing here on the road? I'd have thought you'd been in a farmyard." And the rooster said, "Oh, tomorrow is Sunday, and I heard the farmer's wife talking to the cook. I am going to be the centrepiece of Sunday roast. But I managed to fly away, and now I'm wondering what to do, because the only thing that I know how to do is to crow my cock-a-doodle-doo and let everyone know that the sun has risen." So the donkey said to the rooster, "With such a fine singing voice, you'll be a great member of the Bremen town band. We're all going to Bremen, and we're all going to be musicians. Why don't you come with us?" And so there were now 4 companions travelling along the road. But it was a long way to Bremen, and they couldn't travel that far during the day. And night was falling, and they came to a forest. And so they settled themselves down, the donkey and the dog, under a great tree. The cat climbed the tree, and the rooster settled high up in the branches. But it was cold, and there was nothing to eat. And after some time, the rooster saw a light among the trees. And so he flew down and said to his newfound friends, "There's a light over there in the trees. I think perhaps it's a little house." So the 4 friends walked through the forest following the light, and they did indeed find a little cottage there, hidden in the forest. So they decided, we'll look through the window. So the donkey put his front hooves on the windowsill. The dog climbed up on his back. The cat climbed up on the dog's back, and the rooster climbed up on the cat's back. And all 4 of them looked through the window, and what they could see was a long wooden table laden with food, which looked really appealing. And seated around the table were robbers, talking amongst themselves and planning their next robbery. So the 4 friends decided that they would be much better inside in the cottage where there was food and fire than they would outside in the cold wood. So all together they broke the window and fell through the window into the cottage, and each sang in his own voice. And the robbers were so frightened of all of this that they all ran out of the door as fast as they could. So the cat settled herself down by the hearth, enjoying the last of the warmth from the ashes. The rooster flew up to a beam at the top of the house. The dog, who of course for a long time had been a guard dog, lay down across the back door in case anyone should come in. And the donkey went outside and lay down in the dung heap in the yard. Now the robbers, who weren't too keen on being outside in the cold woodland, talked amongst themselves, and the robbers' leader said, we were a bit hasty there at running out of that nice warm cottage. I think someone should go back and investigate." So one of the robbers, screwing up his courage, walked through the front door of the cottage, and there he could see the cat's eyes glowing in the last of the light from the fire. And he thought, there are 2 live coals that I can light and make a new fire with. So he struck a match and went to light the coals. But the cat, in response to the lit match, jumped up and scratched her claws down the man's face. And the man ran out of the back door, which woke the dog, who then bit the man on the leg. As he ran out through the backyard, the donkey woke up and gave the man a mighty kick on his leg. So the poor man by this time had to limp and hobble his way back to the robbers. And of course the rooster, hearing all this commotion, gave out a great cock-a-doodle-doo. And the robber went back to his companions and said, "It's terrible. There's a witch by the fire, and she scratched me with her great claws. By the back door, there's a man with a knife, and he stabbed me in the leg. In the backyard, there's a great monster who attacked me. And then up on the rafter is a judge who says, catch them all, catch them all. So the whole robber band decided it was really time to move on from the forest and find themselves somewhere else to live. So the four musicians never did reach Bremen and never did join the town band. But they had a nice, warm, cosy cottage to live in for the whole of the rest of their days. Toast the musicians with tea. And may you all have a warm place to sleep tonight and a warm fire.